Right, here we go. Well, good evening. This is Kickstarter Radio 102.4. We're doing a late night chat here. I'm your host, Lipstickpaddy. Now, I was going around my YouTube channels. I do this once a week just to see if anything's worth a watch, I don't kind of subscribe, so I'm not getting updated on what everything's doing because I'm kind of, pushing back a little bit. But I do go and have a look. It's like picking up a magazine at the end of the week and flicking through it, right? Anyway. So Quackalope did a video, is Kickstarter good for the game industry? And they had a bit of a rant, and in the comments lots of people talking, so I thought I'd put my 2 cents in here. Is Kickstarter good for the game industry? No, it's been horrendous if you talk about the game industry that is not Kickstarter. And I'll explain why. Now let's say you have a game budget of $1,000 in a year, and in year X, you spent that all into the retail space. So you were feeding the retail publishers. Then in X plus 1 plus 2, whatever it is, the year of Kickstarter where you migrated to Kickstarter, they have lost so many customers. Like, ouch, big time. I mean, Fantasy Flight, if Kickstarter didn't exist, I probably would have got a lot of their games. I certainly would have the Lord of the Rings card game. I would have the Lords of the Ring adventure game that they have, with the app. I would have had all that, but I've not got it. Why? Because stuff on Kickstarter has just been fantastic. Is it? Yeah. I'm down to 1 retail game a year. That's what I've been using. I've actually scrubbed all the retail games off the list this year, so I don't think I'm going to get a retail game this year. So it's kind of an odyssey that I'm going through. Only expansions of games that I have is the rule going forward. Woohoo! And it's so exciting to see what they're bringing out. And I know they are bringing stuff out, so I will be still busy backing, of course. And only recently, Explore It. They're doing campaigns for their games. They're still continuing their volumes up to volume 6. So fantastic. That's going to be many years. Elder Scrolls from Chip Theory Games, they're planning on doing more expansions to cover the regions of Tamriel. That's going to go on for a long time as well. So there's like, just looking at collections, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a third in the Gloomhaven series as well. So, if I look at my games, I can see more potential coming down the pipe. Anyway, let's get into this. So for the retail game industry, it's been horrendous. For the independent industry of games, it's been phenomenal, hasn't it? It really has brought the dream visions to the market. And people like me and you have absolutely got them on our shelves, right? These fantastic games, the marquee games of Kickstarter and all that goodness. And, the retail game doesn't really hold a candle to these games. In fact, a lot of games that are coming into the retail space that are popular are originally crowdfunded. So, if anything, the retail space has been challenged so much by it, and they've really had to adapt or fail, the actual retail companies. So, you only need to look at the bottom line numbers of years, how much customers they've lost to crowdfunding. It has been pretty astounding. But the way I look at Kickstarter anyway, I think or crowdfunding, so I'm just going to use this, crowdfunding in general, it is losing steam. It is losing creativity. We've gone through a golden age of design. Lots of game board designers that saw the crowdfunding way of bringing their vision out to the market have already done so. There has been some absolutely phenomenal pièces de résistance, massive projects that people have been working on for years and years and years. My favourite game, Fallen Land, that's the original, 13 years in development. That game came to Kickstarter, finally got made. Waiting for the second edition. Can't wait for that. That's going to have expansions down the pipe as well. So, lots of games that I have of the developers are keeping it on. But, how good has crowdfunding been for the crowdfunding companies? It's been phenomenal for them. It really has. But like I said, bringing that vision to it. Now, if I look at crowdfunding, yes, retail companies are coming on, but they don't get big. They're not big. You get small developers coming into Kickstarter, but they're not that big. And these developers need to be aware that, crowdfunding, the biggest thing with crowdfunding is giant visions coming forward. That's the real allure of Kickstarter, is these grandiose visions that the retail space couldn't compete with, hold a candle to, or anything. We're talking vastly important projects here. Gloomhaven, Everdell, giant games, I mean, I could look at my collection and list maybe 20 games that simply would not have come to light, but the grand vision and sheer excitement, just, awesome stores. Now, has Kickstarter or crowdfunding been good for the consumer? Of course it has. Of course it has. All these people that have lost money because a game didn't deliver on Kickstarter, that is a drop in the ocean of games that get delivered. Are you kidding me? Have you ever had a Kickstarter game and a component bit has gone wrong? They'll just send you it. Have you ever bought a retail game and a component's wrong? It's a pain in the arse to get that fixed. It really is. The retail space is terrible for customer service. And besides that, the greatest benefit it's been is for the developer to be in communication with its fans. That's been fantastic. For example, the Hex Explore It game found was such a beautiful, beautiful project. The whole community was fantastic. There was dialogue with the devs in the chat every day. It was fantastic to go and read what people are saying. We were adding to the ideas. We were telling the devs what we'd love to see. They were open to all our ideas. The franchise has so much still to grow, so much ambition from the fans, from the devs. It was fantastic. That is what real crowdfunding should be. Communication with the fans. Help them develop the game with you. As developers, they already have a gazillion good ideas, and we can still surprise them as the consumer or the backer. And that is priceless. We can scan the rulebook and make it better. We can play it on Tabletop Simulator and suggest good constructive criticism. So it can get tested by more people, books can get read so much times. We can find the errata out usually if they give it to us early. And, talking about this idea of consumer, there is so many different types of consumer, you simply cannot put them into one context. I mean, for example, you look at a game that's got 10,000 backers and they put a vote out, you get 500 people voting on it. I mean, there's so many people that back and forget. They are the majority. They are the absolute majority. Just look at any campaign you do and they do a vote on stuff, be amazed. Or, for example, go on a campaign that's got loads of backers and see how many people put a thumbs up to an update. They just don't read them. It's like they back and forget. That's the massive majority. And I feel that the backer that backs and forgets, they're not even watching videos on this stuff. They're not looking at what people are saying on it or anything like that. I guess they can go down a page and decide if they want it, and they just back it, and that's that, and they forget about it. They don't want to know any updates. They'll wait until they get it, I guess. But I feel for me that's the biggest consumer, and for people like that, they just love a great campaign. I mean, we have seen campaigns with loads of popular YouTube channels covering their games, and it just doesn't go bananas. Like, the end of the day, it's not if the game is good. It's the vision and the ambition needs to be fantastic. That's what it is. That's the bottom line. You need to kind of see love on the project, and you can spot a mile off if something's a bit fishy. And I'll give you an example of that. You go to the Explore It Game Phone site, it's got fantastic comments of fans in there, right? You go to Secrets of the Green World on Game Founder. This is the RPG campaign that I did a video on. It's like a RPG toolkit. The dev's not in the comments. For like 3 days, the dev has not talked to anybody. Like, if you've got someone who's quiet on the project, ciao bye. Like, I'm not going to back you. You shouldn't be backing them. How can you put your dream project on Kickstarter and not want to answer all the fans and answer people? Like, it's just beggars belief. It really does. And for example, they went on GameFound and they didn't turn on stretch pay. And that's the greatest benefit of GameFound. You know, you're talking $199 for your game, and that would be nice to put stretch goal on, right? Everybody's doing it, you know, and that's what it is. And if you make mistakes on Kickstarter, you know, you get punished for it on your next Kickstarter. I mean, you look at Portal game with Thorgal, that's not blown up. They've got problems with the last game that they were trying to deliver, and a lot of the fans are not coming over. I don't know. We've got the Endeavour Deep Sea coming on GameFound. That stinks of retail. That's not. I'm just going to say that's not going to do good. We don't like this. If you see something on GameFound that looks retail, you'll stay away from it. Absolutely. And Endeavour Deep Sea, that even though look, it's a collaboration between Burnt Island Games and Grand Gamers Guild. Who cares? It's got retail-itis everywhere on that box. And then if you look on that site, retail-itis. Guards of Atlantis 2 tabletop MOBA is coming out next week. That is a reprint. Yes. You know, as a consumer, we love reprints of Kickstarter. You know why? Because they're coming back because they're good. You don't get a second reprint of a game that was bad. Every second reprint is a fantastic game. Guards of Atlantis 2 tabletop MOBA. Are you kidding me? It's the king of skirmish games. Hell yeah. I'll be covering that this week. Can't wait to cover that game. And I will be backing it actually because it's been on my plan to get this. It came to Kickstarter late. I think it should have come out earlier this year and I would have been backing it, but it's on my to back list. I know Explore It was my last Kickstarter crowdfunding site, whatever, but Guards of Atlantis has been on my list since I missed it. So that's just something to break a rule, if you will, because it should have come out earlier. And I've been waiting for it. I've been absolutely waiting for it. So yeah, you know, the average Kickstarter or crowdfunding consumer, I believe, is very savvy. They can look at a page and decide it's not for them. And they don't need to look at reviews, do they? No. And at the end of the day, you need to show your vision. You need to show how excited you are, and all that good stuff. I mean, the Chip Theory games, the GameFound site. Oh man, it was incredible. That's the dream project. The Pièce de Resistance. They've brought, they're mixing a lot of their previous games into this IP game. It's going to be fantastic. What a vision. They're so excited to be doing it. Like, you can't not see that. And so this is it. Secrets of the Green World looks great, but you're not talking in the chat. Terrible. Ignore it. Endeavour Deep Sea, you're retail-itis. Sorry, dude. I'll do a video on it. And Guards of Atlantis 2. That's the big bomb next week for me. That's the big project. And all that good stuff. And, so I think this is the way Kickstarter's going. There's lots of games that are going to be coming into reprint. And these are the ones that floated to the top and have been fantastic. You know, Madara, mega late project, everyone thought that had gone, was amazing when it came out. The second Kickstarter was massive. Really good. You had Tanaris Adventures, that was Arena the Contest came out, and when they did a reprint of it and they brought out Tanaris as well, it was massive. Gloomhaven came out, there was a second printing of Gloomhaven. It was massive. Now we've got Frosthaven, there's going to be a second printing of Frosthaven. So when you get these second printings, it just means that they are confident that there's a fan base that have seen it and want it, right? I mean, Guards of Atlantis 2, the reason that's coming to GameFound is because they know the game is fantastic. Like, it's got like an 8.7, 8.8, 8.9. It's been bobbing around the upper 8s, almost a 9. It was in people's top lists of the year that played it. So you know, it's coming as a second reprint with lots of accolades, and that will bring a lot of success for it. A successful story coming out the gate, and it's a crowdfunding game. Period. It's not coming to retail. They have tried to bring it to retail, and they're like, "You're taking how much of our profits if you publisher want to take it?" No, thank you. And, you know, that is the bottom line for me, is as a consumer, we can see ambition, we can see value, we can see that the amount of money we're putting in here is paying for a fantastic product. We're not seeing profit here. I mean, when you look at a Simon Kickstarter, there's profit all over that. There is a lot of profit going over that. But for example, if you looked at the recent Q&A from Chip Theory Games, they were saying, like, they actually said, I'll just paraphrase here. They basically said they watched some videos of people calling them out for charging so much for the playmats and things like that. They said they're completely wrong. The playmats they get are a massive DPI on the printing. The colours are so vibrant. The company does die cuts. The only company that does it. So, you know, when you start to understand why things are so expensive and why these games are researching to have the best development for their game to go through, that's more sign of attention to detail that the retail space is not going to do, because the retail space is basically going to cut corners to make a profit. That's why we trust crowdfunding. Absolutely. And if you see a Kickstarter or a crowdfunding game go bananas and it goes big, then there's usually plenty of videos for you to watch and research it and get a feel for how confident a lot of people are, and you know, that can help your decision. I mean, at the end of the day, Guards of Atlantis 2 already has a lot of people reviewing it, unboxing it, lots of people commenting on it on BGG. There's so much already on the property that you can research. It's so easy to do, and so it's like a safe bag. And I think that if a lot of people only back reprints, that's a fantastic way to go. It really is. You can definitely have a lot more secure in backing those projects. Excuse me. So, is crowdfunding good for the game industry? No, it's bad for retail, but it's great for the independents. It really is. And it's better for the consumer, because the consumer should be getting a lot of their money paying for everything that the game has. And when I hear comments like, board games need to take the money, the profits they have, and put it into the next project, it's like, no, the money that they make, they put it into the project that you're backing. That's how it goes. They make it better, right? Yeah, Fallen Land 2nd Edition, you know, everything that they promised on their Kickstarter site, they got, you know, they were so happy with how many backers they got. they decided, you know what, we can redo all the art for the second edition. That wasn't even promised on the Kickstarter, yet they got their profit and put it back into making that game better. Not this Ivy Games will put it into our development of our next game BS. No, you make that game better what you've actually got, that you're backing, that you're producing now, right? And Chip Theory Games, you know, they got 4 million blah blah blah. They said they simply couldn't put more in the box because it was too tight. The budget was too tight. So everyone's willing to do as much for the budget, you know. And you know, if Chip Theory Games were saying they were real stretch goals, they were like, do you really think they would put a stretch goal with a card with nothing on it, like an empty card? Like, they are real stretch goals. They are pulling ideas from a future expansion and bringing it early into the game. They're real stretch goals. And that's good to see. I mean, if you look at the campaign for Hex Explorer, you know, they had an overwhelming amount of new backers to the campaign. And a lot of the stretch goals that they put on were because of comments from what people wanted. And because the budget was bigger, you know, they got so many new backers, they could actually put these things down as stretch goals. So, you know, for these real independents that are willing to put all the money they get and put it into the project, that's what a real stretch goal is. And we're still seeing proper stretch goals at the end of the day and all that good stuff. So to say all stretch goals are BS is completely wrong. They do exist out there for real, proper what I call Premier League crowdfunding companies. And at the end of the day, this, if anything, my channel has, you know, brought some awareness is that there is like a Premier League of crowdfunding companies that are in the Premier League because of the stuff that they brought out. They basically had a vision, had a great ambition, and delivered a game which was phenomenal. And if they come back on crowdfunding, then they deserve a video from me, and they deserve more attention than other games, because at the end of the day, they've earned the right to join the Premier League. And of course, if if it continues, you know, this idea that GameFound and Kickstarter, all that is capitalism. You know, the capitalism needs growth, doesn't it? And I think that the growth of big games is coming to an end. You might get one every so often and stuff like that, but we'll sure be covering them, because I find it fascinating that these projects exist out there, and I'm fairly sure that we won't be as busy as years gone by on our channel with videos, simply because the ambition has already been delivered. And once you've got your life's work into a game already, that's it, isn't it? That's it. You won't have another one. And it's funny because a lot of people are criticizing the fact that people don't want to look at older games in the retail space. They don't care about the top 100 on BGG. Yeah, we care about older games. We care about older games that were kickstarted and that they're now going to come and get reprinted. Yeah, that's what we care about. Those older games. Because crowdfunding games generally are in a different league than older games. That's true. A different league. And what they offer is a new experience, and for me it's a different type of industry. It's I think crowdfunding game industry is in its own niche, and I think the retail industry is just off from that. I think there may be, I don't know, close businesses, but they're not the same. They are not the same. And I think on that bombshell, thank you so much for watching. If you want to add anything to the conversation, is Kickstarter or crowdfunding good for the game industry? Let me know your thoughts below. And I'll put a link to the Quackalope video in the description so you can hear what he has to say with 2 of his guests that he had on. So thank you so much for watching. This has been another late night chat on Kickstarter Radio 102.4. I'm your host, Lipstickpaddy. You take care, stay safe, and nighty night from me in the studio. So bye for now.